Come unwrap some holiday magic this season in Denver, where the lights are brighter and the shopping is grander. The shows are more spectacular, the trees taller, the festivities merrier. So come for your holiday traditions or make some new ones with your friends and family in the Mile High City, where the season feels a whole lot more wonderful. Discover great hotels and more things to do at milehighholidays.com.
Waiting to buy a home? The Churchill Mortgage team says now is a great time to buy. Waiting could be a costly mistake because when rates drop, new home buyers will flood the market, driving up home prices. Go to churchillmortgage.com for your free analysis and see how home values can outpace rates to help you build wealth over time faster. This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
It's the pop culture feel,
Cameron Fath here. What's going on, gang? And it's funny that Izzy said sitting right at the intersection, but we're doing this podcast a little different. We're actually both standing. We're exploring the wellness that is health and fitness. So we decided to get off our lazy asses and actually stand during this podcast. So if there's any difference in quality, let us know.
Yeah, let us know
doubt
if we
it.
sound healthier or more upbeat or have a greater sense of awareness and the tenderness of life. Cameron, you got it easy, man. You actually have a standing desk now.
I have a standing desk, yes. I invested in my setup. I wish you all could see what I'm looking at. I'm very proud of my new podcast / studio / streaming setup. So
no, wait, they can. They can.
Yeah, that's new, I guess. Yeah, that's new to me. I am. If you guys are listening to this, please consider joining me on Twitch at KitGodCam. I'm streaming twice a week now, or as much as I can, and it's Cam's Chaos Corner. What's as cool as that? Nothing.
Think about all the words that you're not allowed to say on my stream. You are absolutely allowed to say that and more on Cameron's stream.
But in a very respectful manner.
That's right. Always with respect.
Yeah. Plotting world domination, but in a very respectful manner. But now that that's aside, might as well mention our amazing Patreon, too. So if you guys are big fans of this podcast or want to, dive in a little deeper with Israel and myself, the best way for you guys to do that is by joining us on Patreon. We have 3 different tiers, all offering you amazing exclusive content, such as early access to podcast episodes, full-length podcast episodes, and at the tip tier top, we do a monthly live stream movie with all of our patrons. It's an awesome time. You guys, we give you 3 movies, you get to pick, and then we sit down together and watch them and just have a hell of a good time. It's been awesome so far, so consider joining us on Patreon. But honestly, talking about gaming, streaming, and Izzy's been doing it for a while here. He's kind of my inspiration, and he kind of bent my arm to start it myself, and I'm glad he did because it's been so much fun. Today's episode topic is all about gaming and being a gamer and just immersing yourself.
In the game, playing the game, being the game. I don't know.
I am the game. Yeah, it's all about gaming. So, thinking about it, video games are kind of what got us started, to where we are today.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you and I were living our lives, just going along. There, no kidding, there we were, when all of a sudden the call came in, or the post went up for Gameology Spec Ops React.
The emails sent out, yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I remember when I first heard about the opportunity, I'm like, man, I was in the military and I like video games. This seems like a perfect match to me. But honestly, I was
Did they tell you it's for a video game thing?
Yeah, well, yeah. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he knew about it. He's like, oh, yeah, it's like a video game review type thing. I'm like, oh, that's super cool. But then he's like, it's like mostly military-based video games. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. Those aren't like my favorite genre. Like, I'm more sci-fi fantasy.
That's not me anymore. Yeah.
I was like, at the time, I've been out for 10 years, I was like, well, shoot, seems like a great opportunity, and the rest is history.
The rest is history indeed. But video game sits at Izzy and I's roots with Gameology and reacting to all those military-based shooters. Yeah. So we figured it'd be a good idea just to kind of revisit that and talk about some pop culture pieces that have everything to do with video gaming. So, we got a lot of movies to talk about, but before we do, I think it's, totally worth it to just really show you guys or tell you just how ingrained video game culture is into the military. And if you didn't know, the U.S. Army actually has an active duty and reserve component esports team. Oh. And I think that's super cool.
That's awesome, man. That's really, the Army is all the honorable things that it is, has this great heritage and stuff, but there is still a desire to make it relevant to the current generation.
Sure.
They'll be like, well,
we need those recruiting numbers.
I get those recruiting numbers. And of all the marketing ploys to come up with, I think an esports team in the military is actually a pretty legit thing, because just knowing that they have an esports competition team is just kind of a cool thing. Even if you're not necessarily on the team, it's like, oh, okay, Army's with it. Army's cool. Army's hip.
We're cool. We're hip. We're here. Yeah, we relate to the youngins. Yeah.
But I mean, video games have been a part of the military for a while. I know that when I went through basic training, I don't think an Army, Army of One or Full Spectrum Warrior. Which one was the Army recruiting tool that was developed by the Army? I think it was Army of One, maybe. I actually think it was specifically developed by the Army as a recruiting tool. But when I was in basic training, we had firearms training, or firearms familiarization training in like a kind of a big screen, like you see like at the video games. You get the fake guns with the recoil in it when you pull the trigger, just like out at like Time Crisis or whatever. But we had these big rooms where you had the sandbags there, and it's just like being at the carnival or whatever. But obviously not real rounds inside, but it was like a cool familiarization tool. So anybody that had ever either gone to Dave & Buster's or played the light gun games like Time Crisis, be like, oh, okay, I'm familiar with this. At least they're utilizing the technology at the time. And that was 2005 back in the day.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because that is still relevant today. Like when I was in Ranger Regiment, the program you're talking about is the EST trainer. So it's the engagement skills trainer. In basic training, before you did your any of your live round shooting, they would always take you to the EST trainer beforehand, just so you can kind of, get a warm and fuzzy for your gun, and, knowing how to properly sight it and, engage targets in daytime and nighttime. So even in the National Guard today, they're still doing EST training before they, actually hit the range and do it. So that was, I think it was a cool implementation and innovation that they added. But I mean, let's be honest, like things in the military, they don't always work the way they're supposed to. There's a lot.
What's the laser tag gear we got?
The Miles gear.
Miles gear, yeah, man. Never worked. Never
worked ever. I remember one time we were doing training in Germany, and they handed us all Miles gear. But none of us used Miles gear, because in the new generation we use UTM and simunition rounds, which are those plastic projectiles. But they issued us a bunch of Miles gear, but they didn't give us any of the manuals to set it up. So they made us attach all the Miles gear. They made us attach all the Miles gear to our equipment. They made us attach it to the weapons and vehicles. But to be honest, none of it worked, because we didn't know how to set it up. So it was the biggest waste of time ever. But yeah, Miles gear that's some old school stuff. Another tangent about Miles gear is when I was in the National Guard, when I first showed up and did my first annual training, I was asked to cadre or oversee one of the like urban assault lanes and like knock out a barricade, knock out a mind wire obstacle into like a village assault. So I had to be the guy to make sure they were doing it right. And like they were using sim, which I'm like, yeah, that's great. And we had this general of the California National Guard fly in and like oversee the training.
You say general, and I'm like, oh, but then when you add general of the California National Guard,
it was crazy. It was crazy because he's a 2-star general, but he doesn't have a deployment. He doesn't have a deployment patch. So it was like, super weird from my perspective. But anyways, he comes over, we shake hands and stuff, and he's watching the training with me on the rooftop, and he just looks at me and he goes, "Why aren't these men wearing Miles gear?" And I'm like, "Well, because Simunition is better." And he just says, "They should be wearing Miles gear." And I'm like, "You are so old and you are so out of date, man. Get with it, brother." But yeah, that's my tangent on Miles gear. It is outdated and Simunition is the future.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, the implementation of the EST trainer was awesome. The Army esports team, I think, like you said, was an amazing recruiting tool. And it like gets the young people interested in joining because they model the the Golden Knights, which is the Army jump team, and they also model AMU, which is the Army marksmanship unit, which those guys are badass and the best shooters in the world. Nice. Yeah, it just kind of gets people excited about you don't just join the Army to be infantryman. You don't just join to be a mechanic. Like, you have so many options. Once you join, you can go here, you can go there. It's like you're not just funneled into one space. And I think introducing the esports team was an amazing way to expose people to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think it's great.
It gives an idea of the breadth of the kind of people that are in the military, because, which I think is important, because you and I have experienced this. We have gotten emails or met young people who have said, "I never knew that there were kinds of people like you in the military, like just this relaxed and kind of lighthearted, a little bit nerdy maybe sometimes." It's like, and you guys were like elite soldiers. So there's a bit of relatability when there's like maybe there's some nerdy dude out there and he kind of doesn't really know, like, military, maybe that's not for me. And like, wait a minute. Israel was a Green Beret and he's a total nerd, and Cameron's a Ranger and he like loves Lord of the Rings. So there's a bit of it, like, less of a distance. It doesn't seem so impossible that, like, maybe some nerd in Minnesota could go out and be a Special Forces Green Beret.
We're not all Jocko. We're not all David Goggins. Honestly, you find turds.
That,
yeah, you find turds in the punch bowl anywhere you go. So, so take that for what it is. But as far as I know you put a little section here, which I thought was super interesting, was, current and former military streamers. So if you want to give a couple dudes shout outs, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, man. We actually just rated this guy's stream the other day, Eli Double Tap. And he was in the military. He was in the infantry, I think, 15-month deployment to Baghdad during the surge, 2007, 2008. Actually, so we might have been around. We might have been in the country at the same time, because I was in Iraq in 2008, but up in the north. But yeah, super cool dude. We rated his channel. He's super chill. He's a lighthearted guy who's also into the guns and into the anime and the video games. And then of course, another guy that you all probably know, Nico Ortiz, became super famous. He was in the military, 2015, right out of high school, actually, 11 Bravo. And then he reclassed to 35L Lima, counterintelligence. And then he finished out his career and he went right onto TikTok and just started making skits and just blew up.
Blew up, man.
Yeah. And now he's on Twitch. He streams really regularly. So, couple of cool dudes. And one more dude, Pool Shark. He is a former infantryman. He's disabled. Got a Purple Heart, and he's out streaming all the time as well. Full-time streamer, Facebook and Twitch, and mostly plays first-person shooters. So there's the full spectrum of people out there that stream any kind of stuff that you want to. If you want to if you want to engage with a veteran, but maybe you're not, maybe you are into first-person shooters, or maybe even if you're not, you can come and hang out with like me or you. We don't necessarily always play first flick. Let me try that again. Chris, give me another shot at that one. Okay, here we go. We don't necessarily always play first-person shooters, but if you're out there and you want that kind of military-to-military experience, military dude playing a military game, I know that Nico Ortiz plays Insurgency Sandstorm all the time. Pool Shark does, and then Eli he plays he runs the gamut. He plays a bunch of different stuff. So
yeah,
we're out there, man. I keep thinking about Iraq and Afghanistan went on for 20 plus years, and now we're all out there in the environment, out in the world, just living our lives. And a lot of us are going to go into the gaming community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's a very easy transition, just because when I served, I was playing video games. I was a huge World of Warcraft nerd before I was of age to hang out with the gents and go out to the bars and stuff. So I would just sit in my barracks room and my roommate would buy me a 6-pack of Bud Light Platinums and I'd just sit there and, hydrate all weekend and, PvP it up. But let me ask you, did you play video games when you were in? Was that something that you did? Was that one of your activities when you were just in the house?
Yeah. I didn't do it much. There was not much like when I was on deployment. I played maybe a little bit. I remember actually me and my buddy Mike St. Clair. He was my senior Echo, and we played one session of Army of Two together, and we just did not gel. It was not a happy time. He had a certain play style, and I had a certain play style, and we were arguing and stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't play video games together. I like you.
Maybe we should take some time.
Cool, dude.
I love you as a person, but we, together,
you,
I think we should go our separate ways. It's not you, it's me.
But for me, when I was in Iraq, it was a lot of movie and television watching, like DVDs. But
same here.
When I was not doing my job out at Fort Lewis and I was at home, because I was a single guy for most of my time in the military, I was playing video games. I remember around that time that was a lot of Dead Space, a lot of BioShock, a lot of those kinds of games. I remember right before I got out, I played a lot of that kind of stuff, and I was just because especially when I was out processing, man. When you're out processing, you're not really doing your job. You're getting off at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was marathon sessions, 8, 10, 12-hour sessions, man. I had all the time in the world.
God damn. Well, I know when I was in Korea, my team leader forced me to play Halo. That was the ritual. Even when I didn't want to play Halo, he's like, it's either Halo or you're doing push-ups. So I was like, Halo it is. So we were forced to play so much Halo on deployment. So I'm Halo'd out still, but I'm thinking about playing it on stream. But go revisit my my triggering memories from Korea. But yeah, man, let's get into the movies here because I know we got some good ones. And there's I thought it was going to be hard to find movies that had to do with either immersing yourself in video games or video games becoming reality. But honestly, I found so many, and I think the first one I want to talk about is the most recent one I've seen, or at least revisited, because it came out in 2009, is Gamer with Gerald Butler.
I remember
and
that.
Talk about an intense movie, You think video games are lighthearted, but when actual people's lives are on the line and you're quote unquote a playable character, but if you die in the video game, you're actually killing a real life person that's just trying to get released. Yeah, crazy movie. I mean, obviously, if you're a young child, probably not a good idea for you to watch it because there's a lot of adult themes going on. And it, I think it exposes, when you have a screen in front of you, you can be anybody you want to be, right? You can, go into this new world, and even if you're, a piece of crap in real life, it gives you an opportunity to be somebody else and do things that you wouldn't be allowed to do in real life, but in the video game they're fair and square. So it shines light on the creepiness and the dark side of online communities. But the basis of the movie, if you haven't seen it, is there is Gerald Butler's character is kind of one of the most famous characters you can play in this video game called Slayers, and essentially all of the Slayers are prisoners in real life, and the players take death row inmates, and they agree to take part in this video game because if they make it to the final level or if they survive long enough, they get their freedom back. So Gerald Butler's character is kind of his name is Cable, and he's the most famous character, and he's basically fighting to see his family and his daughter again. But his player is shit hot, and he's the best player there is, so they go together very well. Yeah, he's the number one streamer in the world, but he's just some young kid. So essentially they end up working together in order to get Cable free, and everybody's working against him, including the company that is running Slayers, because they don't want him to get free because he knows a lot of dirt on this company. So if he gains his freedom, he's basically going to take down this entire organization. So they basically throw all the stops to try and kill Cable before he reaches the final level. But I think it's an entertaining movie. The concept's really cool. But man, I would not want to be a death row inmate and playing this game, because the probability of surviving this game is slim to none. So it's you just got to roll with it.
I can't imagine being conscious and not being in control of my own body.
Yeah.
You know, like
Not to mention the players, like, you know, you're in charge of a real person. Do you think if you were playing a real person, like you would feel some sort of duty to like perform better? Or, you know, they're like, oh, they're just death row inmates, so who freaking cares?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that speaks to some of the social commentary of the movie itself, because like me right now being my 42-year-old self, I'm like, oh my God, that's another human life. Maybe if I knew like what they were in for, I wouldn't care as much, but like, yeah, man, it's a human life. I'd be like sneaking. I'd be into like a sniping position, camping out, only like moving when necessary. It's like, I mean, if I get nervous with Escape from Tarkov, I can't imagine how I'd react if I had a real life person's life.
Yeah, playing Slayers, just sweating beads, sweating bullets the entire time.
Whereas maybe a 14-year-old kid, I can imagine. I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there who would not give a second thought to the idea that it's a human life on the other line. You know?
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't think so. But there you go. That's the whole purpose of the movie, I guess. It's like intertwining, you know, the dark side of society. But yeah, Gamer's a really good movie. I think it's a fun watch. Like I said, not safe for the workplace because there is some pretty gnarly themes in it, but yeah, if you got time, I think go ahead and watch it. But Izzy, what about you, man? Pick something off this list. I'd love to talk about it.
I want to talk about Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg, 2018. Now, the tragedy of this game, it's basically about people who live their lives online. Imagine that. In the near future, everything, you know, society's on the brink of collapse. Everybody's poor. You know, basically it all sucks. And the only true joy that people have is going online to this online world called the Oasis, where they can build up their characters and amass online wealth and abilities and look and sound however they want. And so that's the main character. The main character that he finds himself, Wade Watts, looking for this secret treasure that the originator of Oasis, James Halliday, has created and hidden throughout the world of Oasis. And all of the clues are based on all of Halliday's interests and love of pop culture from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And so, like I was saying, the tragedy of the story is that the book itself, almost every sentence, maybe every other word, there's some sort of pop culture reference. It's pretty amazing how the writer was able to just stuff the book and the story full of pop culture references. Like, I grew up a latchkey kid. I was watching movies, TV shows, playing video games, and I only got about maybe, you know, a half of the references that he made. But it's basically, you know, it's a heartwarming story. There's a lot of cool pop culture and nostalgia references in the movie itself, talking specifically about the movie. And it's about, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a love letter to why we love what we love, why we keep reaching back for nostalgia. Nostalgia is a funny thing, and we could even talk about, you know, specifically like company like Disney, where when they just buy up these properties, that's kind of their main weapon, their main tool in their toolbox is member berries and having people like, remember this old property? We remember with this thing, remember this outfit, remember this character, here it is again. But it like in a less
you want to go
creative
deep,
way.
huh? You want to go deep.
We can
totally.
Because there is, I mean, like Ready Player One is such a joy to read, partially because it's just a bunch of stuff that you remember from your childhood. You know, if you grew up in the pop culture with any kind of pop culture exposure, you're like, oh, I remember that. And I remember, you know, how but then there's also this kind of like, it's a bit of kind of a sad feeling.
It is sad.
Because, you know, like how much can you reach back for nostalgia before it starts to get a little bit maybe sour, you know, and not gleam or shine as brightly. And because, you know, like it's hard to come up with original ideas in pop culture today. It's hard to come up with original stories. Some could even argue that maybe it's all been said and it's just a matter of kind of putting your own spin on the classic stories anyway. But all that to say, Ready Player One, at the heart of the story is a great kind of David and Goliath story where Wade Watts is going after the head, like there's a big tech company that's trying to buy up and control all of Oasis to gain all the power. And obviously they don't want that. So it's like, the little guy versus the big corporation kind of thing.
Yeah.
And corporate greed is in there, and so he bands together with his friends, and they fight against all odds. But so it's a good heartwarming story.
It is, and it's done very well.
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean,
just it blows my mind. Just like you said, the amount of pop culture just in the book, but even in the film, the amount of pop culture they were able to like dissect from every single corner that is pop culture is in this movie.
Yeah.
And like you could be into anime, you can be into first person shooters, you could be into freaking Pac-Man. And like there is a reference in that film for you. So it just shows you like how much attention to detail they showed and put into the film, which, I've watched it like I think 3 times since it came out because it's fairly new. It came out in 2018. Yeah. And every single time I watch it, I pick up something new. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. There's that thing. Yeah, that's crazy. But it's really good. I like the theme of, like you said, the little guy versus the big corporation. Because what's on the table here, you have this creator who manufactured this oasis, which is almost heaven for everybody. Like there's something for everybody in there. And the creator passes away, but basically gives the keys to the Ferrari to whatever gamer can find it and unlock these clues and everything. So basically, even though this tech company has a lot of power, a lot of money, and a lot of resources to try and find it, what they don't have is that personal connection to the creator. Like what made this creator think? And, the main character, Wade, who's, coming from pretty much nothing, that spent his life studying the creator and connecting with him on, an emotional and basically, I want to say physical, but, through the video game is as close as you can get. I think the keys to the Ferrari exist in the ability to connect with somebody on a very intimate level. And the character is able to do that and like kind of understand how this guy thinks and, where he's going to go from here. So it's good. There's a lot of elements of that movie that I really appreciate that make it an excellent watch. And it's Steven Spielberg, and he's the GOAT. Yeah. He is absolutely the GOAT. So, all those aspects together make a killer movie.
I almost met him once.
Oh, yeah? Almost. Let's hear this one. But
I can't quite
usually it's I did meet this one.
Yeah, it's a substandard
what's an almost?
Right celebrity sighting story or crossing story.
Waiting for mortgage rates to drop could be a costly mistake. Once rates drop, new home buyers will enter the market and prices will soar even higher. At Churchill Mortgage, you can get a free analysis and learn how to avoid the trap of waiting for interest rates to drop. Buy now and refi later at churchillmortgage.com. This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. Whether you're making a traditional roasted turkey or spicy turkey tacos, your go-to shrimp cocktail, or your first Cajun risotto, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace your traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Save big on your favorites with the Buy 5 or More, Save $1 each sale. Simply buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with your card. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Go ahead, I want to hear it.
I was at E3 in I forget what years, 14, 15, or 16. I used to have a buddy back when E3 was the thing. Apparently it's not anymore. But back when it used to be industry only, I had a buddy that would give me his pass. E3 police, don't come and find me. Yeah. But I was walking across the floor and I just saw him come out of a screening booth for one of the video games coming out. And he was talking to somebody. He was kind of just walking like a regular person. I'm like, Steven Spielberg, you better watch out. If anybody like me, who's not a normal person, recognizes you, you might be in trouble. Because he didn't have any security or anything like that. He was just walking like a dude. But
walking like a dude, being a dude.
Being a dude. I had class. I didn't approach him. I have this rule about celebrities in public. If they're eating or walking along the street,
don't do it.
I feel like it's classless. It's a bit of a class.
It's classless, yeah.
So, but anyway, I almost met him.
Almost. That is cool though. Have you ever seen Existenz? Spelled very weird.
With a capital X.
Yeah, it's EXISTENZ, and it's 1999 sci-fi horror, but it has a crazy cast. It's like I never heard of this movie, and it's the same thing. It's about like this video game universe that this, this virtual reality universe that you enter, and it's invented by by a woman named Allegra Geller, but she's played by Jennifer Jason Leigh. And there's, Jude Law's in it, William Dafoe's in it, Don McKellar, Ian Holm. It has a lot of people in the movie that you're like, oh my God, like there's some big time people in here. And but I've never heard of this movie, and I wanted to see if you've seen it.
Well, dude, it's crazy, man. This is another director that blows my mind that I haven't seen this, but David Cronenberg wrote and directed it. And I've never known great. Well, David Cronenberg's he's like a wacko. Like he did did you ever see A History of Violence or a Scanners? I guess he really is kind of in a sci-fi genre most of the time. But it looks all sorts of like weird, like it looks like he's pulling out like an umbilical cord or whatever.
Yeah, it's like this universe is like really demented and weird, and like they use like these weird plaster guns and stuff. And it's it's like this super horror sci-fi fantasy video game world that like in the trailer the guy's like, I think I want to kill somebody, and he like pulls out this pistol that's like looks like it's made of paper mache, and he just gets like messed up by somebody, and Willem Dafoe's in it too, and you're like, what the hell? What's going on? I've never heard of this movie. But yeah, I wanted to see if you saw any of those two.
Dude, that's crazy, man. I have to check that stuff out. It's weird these movies pass me by. I wonder what I was doing in 1999, 2001 that I didn't see them. Well, I didn't have a job for most of my time in high school.
I was playing outside as a 6-year-old child, so that's probably why I didn't see these. Yeah. But what about one we have seen, man? I know you got some on the list here towards the bottom. You want to talk about them?
Yeah, man. There's 2 episodes from 2 different shows that are right in line with what we're talking about. There's the Black Mirror episode, the USS Callister, which is it's super twisted. Black Mirror is known for basically the darker side of technology in all its shapes and forms. USS Callister is an episode. It's basically about Jesse Plemons plays a game programmer at this huge game company, but he's kind of he's just a loser, and he doesn't get any of the recognition that he thinks he deserves. Sir. And but what he does is he projects himself into this virtual world, which is like a Star Trek type world where he's the main character, and everything he does is perfect, and everybody loves him, and he always saves the day, and he always gets the girl. But what he has done is he has taken DNA samples from people in his office that don't like him or whatever, or they're just a part of his life. And he makes he makes clones, self-aware clones that are in the game with him. So
I've seen this episode. Yeah.
Oh, he's
so
kind
of twisted. Like a creeper on the outside, but he immerses himself in this game to escape reality and be liked for once.
Yeah, exactly. But the people on the inside of the game on the USS Callister, they're self-aware and they hate his guts, but they can't do anything because he has godlike power inside the game, basically. And so the latest girl who gets teleported into the game decides to try to get everybody to basically revolt, and they have to kind of trick him into they have to trick him in order to basically get out of it. And at the end they're kind of racing for this basically it's like an exit that leads to the wider internet to where they'll be free to do whatever they want. And they get out, but he gets trapped inside, and if he's trapped inside the game, it basically deletes his brain. So it goes to his apartment after the events of the
revolt.
And he's basically a vegetable. He's just sitting there drooling, and that's the consequences of his actions. So it's really good, very satisfying. And then the other one is, it's a Star Trek episode from Star Trek Deep Space Nine from season 1. It's called Move Along Home. And if you don't know, the premise of Star Trek Deep Space Nine is all the main characters are on this space station, Deep Space Nine, which is actually right next to the universe's only stable wormhole, which leads into the Gamma Quadrant. The characters are in the
You
Alpha
sound
Quadrant.
like a mega nerd right now.
I sound like you when you're talking about Lord of the Rings stuff or Warhammer,
yeah.
But or World of Warcraft. So anyway, this alien race comes through, and the whole basis for this alien racist society is games. That's all they do. It's all they live for is playing games. and they come onto the ship and they go immediately to the bar and they talk to Quark, who's the head of the bar. They say, hey, you want to play like a really intense game? He's like, yeah, sure. And so what he doesn't realize is that the game itself has taken people like Cisco and Dax and all the other characters and pulled them from reality and actually teleported them into the events of this game. So basically, Quark's like, their lives are in his hands. It's kind of like Gamer, where the moves that he makes, the players, the pieces are actually Captain Cisco and Jadzia Dax and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, they're playing, and he has to sacrifice the characters, and he doesn't want to do it. And he's like pleading for the guy. He's like, don't make me make this choice and stuff. And so finally, he has to make the choice, and all the characters die. They all disappear, and then they're just teleported back into the bar, and they're fine. And I love it because the people are all laughing. They're like clapping. They're like, great game, great game. He's like, wait, you mean the whole time their lives were never in danger? And the guy's like, it's just a game.
It's just a game, you nut.
Yeah, like
And what kind of games do you play?
Yeah, people's lives weren't in danger. That's our whole society is based on playing games, not killing people. But
Yeah, what are you, crazy?
super great. I don't know. There's something about those kinds of episodes where it explores the darker side of like. Sometimes you think to yourself, "Oh, I would love to live in this video game world," but would you really? I mean, really? I know it's
You
fun
sure about that?
to play the game,
Are
but
you sure about that?
Yeah, you sure about that? You sure about that? I will kill you. But I'll talk about one more, and I hope for your sake, Cameron, and everybody else's sake out there, that you have not seen this movie, because talking about the dark side, this is the darker side of video game to movie translations, which I've talked about a little bit in the past. But there's a movie called Pixels, and it's an Adam Sandler movie from 2015, and it is hot garbage. It's basically all the worst aspects of what you would try to if you were trying to take video games and literally make them be a part of the real world. It's like this alien race has intercepted, what was it? I think it's either transmissions or like a time capsule that Earth shot into space, and they, for some reason, take it literally and transform themselves into different like games from the 80s, arcade games from the 80s, and they come back and they attack Earth. And
oh my god!
And so Adam Sandler and
sounds Oscar worthy, honestly.
The King of Queens, who's the president in this movie, have to basically try to play the game. So Pac-Man shows up and goes after him, and then there's it's like Galaga. It's just stupid. It's just the stupidest premise, and nothing makes any sense. And Adam Sandler, the worst part of it is Adam Sandler looks like he could not care less to be in his own movie. He sleepwalks his way through the entire film, and there's just all these kind of, I don't know, just logical leaps that don't make any sense, and they must have edited it like without thinking, because I don't know, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. Don't go see it.
Well, you know me, when you say not to see something, it makes me want to see something, but I actually know about this movie. I haven't seen it, but I absolutely I'm in hard agreement with you, my friend, that I probably won't go out of my way to see this movie because it looks so fucking dumb. So I don't think the curse of you telling me not to do something make me want to. Like, when your parents tell you, like, you don't do drugs, you don't drink when you're a kid, and you're like, well, now I want to do it. That's not happening here because I could care less to see Pixels. Yeah. Like, it popped up on all the lists that I looked up for this episode, and I was just like, no, thank you. Because honestly, Pac-Man is the weakest video game character of all time. So when he's on the cover there, I'm like, I can't get behind it. I can't get behind it at all. Yeah. But yeah, way to end on a negative note. But maybe we can pick it up with this fan question, and this fan question comes to us from Robbie Vargas via Instagram. And if you guys aren't following us on Instagram, make sure you are, so you can stay up with all the latest new updates. And that's the PCFM podcast on Instagram. Also, if you want to get a fan question featured on an episode, a great way to do that is on our Instagram, but also on our email. If you guys are curious about anything or you just want to say what's up, go ahead and send an email to pcfmpodcast@gmail.com. We read all the emails. Sometimes we're really bad about responding, but I promise you, if you send an email, it will be read in some form or another. But Robbie wants to know, do you guys have any video games on the way that you are looking forward to playing?
Now that we're streaming,
Easy question,
Cameron,
huh?
yeah. Now that
Now that I'm streaming, yeah. For me, I don't have anything on the radar just because I'm so hyper focused on just making sure the stream looks good, sounds good, and I know what I'm freaking doing with all this new tech because it is so overwhelming. And like, I didn't realize how deep you can go into the streaming world,
Yeah, man.
to like make your stream look good. But right now, I'm just playing the basic stuff like Call of Duty. I'm playing Apex because Izzy got me on Apex, and it's hard to escape. It's
Yeah,
so
I'll tell you what.
addicting. Every time we play Apex, we're like, we'll do one game and then we'll call it quits. But then we're like, one more. We'll do one. Okay, one. That wasn't a good one. Let's get a good one in.
That's true.
Yeah, but I want a recent release is the Harry Potter series. That looks pretty cool. And the fact that it's got some negative light on it with all like the people thinking it's, misgendering people and whatnot makes me want to play it even more. So I want to get going on that. It's a little expensive though. It's like $60, but I guess that's video gaming for you.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
But nothing coming out that is like super on my radar yet. But I gotta educate myself and start geeking out over all this shit. What about you, Izzy?
I mean, at the time of this recording, the most recent one, I'm probably not going to play it on stream, or at least not for a while, but Diablo 4 just came out. Really looking forward to playing that. I remember seeing the trailer for that 2-3 years ago, and they're going after Lilith this time. I've seen a couple people be streaming it. And the one I'm most excited for, I don't know when it's going to come out exactly, but Hellblade: Senua's Saga. It's the sequel to Hellblade: Senua's Sacrificed, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I really loved that experience. I really loved the character and her whole journey, and how that game played out was just really really touching and emotionally engaging. And so I'm really excited for the next gen sequel. Those people over there at Ninja Theory put a lot of work into the games they make, and so I appreciate it. The one that's probably going to come out before that, hopefully, fingers crossed, is 6 Days in Fallujah. Oh wait, 7 Days in Fallujah.
Oh yeah, 6 days.
6 Days in Fallujah. Yeah. But yeah, that is the one that has gone through a lot of controversy because they actually went out and interviewed Iraqis and American servicemen, Marines who were there at the second Battle of Fallujah, and it's trying to offer that really real world gritty. It's going to be a co-op player experience. You can go into basically your room clearing. You're going room to room. It's that real gritty house to house style room clearing combat. Back before we had really, I don't know. I don't know how much CQB we had developed, but at that point. But man, oh man, it looks really intense. And people on my stream have been asking me like, "You gonna play it when it comes out?" Because at the time of this recording, I think it's coming out soon, but. You know video games, man. They'll announce something and they'll be like, "Wait,
and they'll push it."
Yeah.
No, something's not right. Well, yeah. I guess 6 Days in Fallujah for me then too.
Yeah,
and then
we gotta play it.
Right now, I'm I want to play it. Right now, I am locked into Xbox Series X games because that's the only console I have. Because I am currently on Mac for my computer setup, which limits me exponentially, which I've found out. But if one day they release Tarkov for Xbox, I definitely want to start Tarkoving it up. And like honestly, all the good shooter games are on PC. Ready or Not, Tarkov,
0 Hour,
and then
Ground Branch.
So yeah, Ground Branch for sure. I wish they go to Xbox. So I'm keeping a watchful eye out to see if they do any console conversions here, because I will be one of the first on them. So cool, man. I think we hope we answered that question for you, Robbie. But before we go, as always in PCFM fashion, we like to play a game here. So Izzy, I have a game for you if you want to play.
Oh, really? Let's play.
Okay.
Let me be immersed in the game.
Awesome. And Chris was very excited about this game, and I am too, now that I can see what it is. So it is time for everyone's favorite game with a little twist. Military game or adult game? That's
Adult
right.
game, huh? Okay.
I'm going to say a video game name, and you tell me if it's a real military video game or an adult video game. Let's try it out.
Dude, you'd be surprised. I don't know if you've gone down the rabbit hole, been through the dark web. There's a lot of really raunchy, crazy, sexual adult games out there, man.
Yeah, man. I know. I'm very familiar. But no, just kidding. I'm not. But I definitely have seen ads. But anyways, are you ready to get this going?
Let's do it, man. I'm excited. A little
Okay.
A little scared, but
Okay, so we have 6 games to talk about, and here we go with numero uno. This game is called Warno 2022.
Warno? 2020.
Warno.
Warno. Oh, there's
Like-
the warning order,
Like warning
right?
order.
Yeah.
Warno. Spelled the same.
Oh, okay. Warno. I mean, it sounds so military. It's so on the nose. I'm having trouble thinking of a sexual term or a sexual position or sexual anything that has to do with Warno. So I'm just going to say military.
And I'm going to say you are absolutely correct. So
Hey.
Warno 2022, World War III never happened, but it sure put people on edge during... I'm sorry, I think it's supposed to say World War II. World War II never happened, but it sure put people on edge during the Cold War. This is a RTS title where we are following a battle after tensions rise too high between NATO and Warsaw Pact. People will lead hundreds of different historical units into battle, whether it's tanks or helicopters.
Oh,
Sounds interesting. Okay.
If it's a real-time
Sounds good.
strategy, I can understand why I haven't played it. I'm not very good at real-time strategies. Like I like
Yeah,
StarCraft,
like Age of Empires and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. Yep.
Okay. Well, good, man. You are 1 for 1. Let's move on to the next one. And our second game is Demon Deals 2018.
Demon deals, huh?
Demon
What kind
deals.
of naughty tentacle deals are these ladies making? I'm gonna say demon deals. You know, there's a lot of hentai out there where ladies are getting it on with demons. So I'm gonna have to say it's an adult video game.
Wow, you are spot on. It's like you've seen the trailer.
Oh no.
Demon Deals 2018. The family of our hero is moving to a new apartment. He has to help in this task as well. His mom is really hot and she likes to expose her body parts, and sometimes he can't take her eyes off of her. In the closet, he found a pentagram on the wall. During the night, a demon girl visited him and made a deal with him. Check out what he'll have to do now. It sounds like he just took the description of literally the ad campaign for this game. Chris, I'm sorry for the websites you had to go to in order to find these, because I've been in your shoes before. It is. Thank you for your service, my friend.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah. But cool. You are 2 for 2, my friend. So let's move on to the third one. And I think you'll get this one immediately because we've talked about this game. But anyways, it's still on here. Number 3, Hell Let Loose. And now it's in the context of an adult video game or military video game, so I can see where it makes sense.
I can see what kind of hell might be let loose upon the young ladies of the world.
Yeah.
But no,
or hell is looking pretty loose.
Yeah. Oh no, the character of hell has become loose. No, that's a World War II first-person shooter, right? It's online.
Yep, you are correct. I'm just going to give that one to you immediately because I'm pretty sure we played this on Gameology.
Yeah, we've
and
watched
Hell Let
footage
Loose is
at
a
least.
we've watched footage. Hell Let Loose is a multiplayer. Hell Let Loose is a multiplayer tactical first-person shooter game developed by Australian studio Black Matter and published by Team 17. Players fight in iconic battles of the Western and Eastern fronts of World War II at a platoon level. So yeah, that was an easy one. But maybe this one will challenge you. Kingdom Come.
Oh, come on. I guess it depends on how the
I'm
word
sorry,
come
Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Oh, will the virgins be delivered from their virginity? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know. You tell me.
Actually, I know what this one is because it's been mentioned on my stream a couple of times, and my stream is very clean. So this is actually a video game. It's like a medieval first-person medieval fighter, and I've actually been told it uses some HEMA, some historic European martial arts moves in it.
Oh, cool.
I think they studied some old texts. There's kind of been a resurgence of European-style martial arts and fighting techniques. Usually when we think about that, we think of Eastern styles like karate and jiu-jitsu and kenpo. But, West Europeans got it on as well in the fighting sense. And so Kingdom Come Deliverance is definitely a video game.
Yes, it is a military game. It is a video game, but it is also a military game. More specifically, an action role-playing video game that is set in the medieval kingdom of Bohemia, an imperial state of the Holy Roman Empire, with a focus on historical accurate content. So very cool.
Nice.
But we have 2 left here, and the next one is The Genesis Order.
The Genesis Order.
2017, The Genesis Order.
I know there's a game called Genesis 1, I think, which is like a kind of a extraterrestrial base building type game. But the Genesis Order, it's either somebody has given the Genesis Order or there's a secret organization called the Genesis Order. Either way, there's some hentai and pornos out there, some anime pornos that really go for like the biblical themes. And I don't know why, and it's sad that I know that, but I'm going to say
because you do your research.
I do my research.
You research what to stay away from
for hours on end at night, alone on my computer. I'm going to say it's an adult. 3 a.m. research. It's an adult video game. I'm going to say.
You're killing it, man. It is indeed an adult game. Another fantastic game from NLT Media, who created Lust Epidemic, then Treasure of Nadia, and now they've made another fantastic game. You'll take a role of a young detective who's trying to earn some money and meet hot ladies. The Genesis Order.
Sounds like your average detective, actually, from LA.
Actually, yeah, totally. I agree. Well, my friend, you're doing awesome. You are 5 for 5, and with 1 more remaining, are you ready?
All right, let's do the clean sweep, baby.
The clean sweep. Here we go. Last one, Time Shifter, 2015.
Ooh, that's tough, because that sounds like a legit video game title. I know there's Time Splitters. That was a shooter from kind of way back when, maybe either N64 or GameCube or whatever, but could be wrong about that. Time Shifter. Man, it seems pretty straightforward. I guess I'm going to have to go with my gut on this one. I mean, he could go back in time to have sex with people, but I'm just going to say it's a legit military video game.
Oof! With that last comment, you nailed it right on the head, but unfortunately your gut led you down the wrong path. Time Shifter 2015 is an adult game. This is a story about a guy who had a boring life when all of a sudden he found a watch that brought him an ability to travel back in time. Now you can make an impact on your life, improve it, start everything over, fix your mistakes, or simply get laid with many girls.
Which is what I'm sure a lot of people would end up doing, really, if they could.
Yeah, if you can go back in time, who would you get laid? But unfortunately, you missed that last one, but you did really good, my friend. 5 out of 6 is nothing to be sad about. But folks, we hope you enjoyed this game, and more importantly, enjoyed this episode of the PCFM podcast.
Folks, it's always great to hang out and talk some pop culture with you. Please keep in touch with us on socials. You can get a hold of me, Israel Wright Official, on Instagram, or Israel Wright on Twitter. Get a hold of Cameron C. Fath on Instagram as well. Check out kitgotapparel.com. Come hang out with us on stream, man. You got me, twitch.tv/myhappyself.
And you got me over here at KickGodCam, Cam's Chaos Corner. Looking forward to interacting with you guys more, but with that,
cue music. What's going on, everybody? You just listened to the free version of the PCFM podcast. If you want full-length versions of podcast episodes, plus much, much more, head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/PCFM podcast.
That is right, Israel. If you want access to this full episode, you have to subscribe to the Fuzzy Private tier, which is our cheapest tier on Patreon at $5 a month. But if you are interested in a little bit more, we also have the Salty Sergeant tier at $8 a month and the Lifer tier at $12 a month. So hopefully we will see you there, PCFM family. Cue music.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. Whether you're making a traditional roasted turkey or spicy turkey tacos, your go-to shrimp cocktail, or your first Cajun risotto, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace your traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
We've locked in low prices to help you save big store-wide. Look for the locked in low prices tags and enjoy extra savings throughout the store. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. Whether you're making a traditional roasted turkey or spicy turkey tacos, your go-to shrimp cocktail, or your first Cajun risotto, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace your traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Save big on your favorites with the Buy 5 or More Save $1 each sale. Simply buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with your card. Baker's, fresh for everyone.